put in some music, okay? Hi, Greg. I could hear. Guys, can you hear me? Greg, can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. Guys, can you hear me? Oh, weird. Okay, let me just finish this video. Easy get to see what. There's toys too. Yeah, he's been doing that for the past few days. Okay. Wait. Apologies. Okay, so I can hear you right now, but I. Okay, wait. I'm just looping it back. Okay, say something, please. Okay, wait. It should be coming out. It's not going out. Same. This is so. Remember, I told you like 30 minutes to solve the problem while we were testing it. Adjust more on volume. Yeah, they can hear me, but I can't hear you. Now. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now, but they can't hear you. Oh, wait,
I can't hear you.
Testing.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now, but they can't hear you.
I guess it's clear now.
Can you hear me now?
You remove something.
Okay. I can hear you now, but they can't hear you.
But there's echo. I can hear you now.
Yes, it's
Guys,
clear
can you
now.
hear? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? You remove something. Okay. I can hear you now, but they can't hear you.
Yeah, there's audio already.
I can hear you now. Yes, guys, can you hear us?
Okay, this should
Okay,
be
so
okay
what-
now. Should be okay. It should be okay right now.
Hope so. If someone can give us a thumbs up if they can hear us.
Yep. Guys, can you hear us? There's slight delay. It's 10 seconds delay, but should be okay. Yeah.
Testing. 1, 2.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Guys, can you hear us? Where is everyone? Hey guys. I don't know where's everyone. 3 by 5. Okay, audio's okay now. I'll increase it a little
One,
bit.
two,
Okay, we're good.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay. All right, should be okay. Sound check, final sound check, final sound check. Sound
Okay,
check.
sounds like people can hear us.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. Yep. 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, it's 6. Okay, audio is much better now. I really don't know what's causing this is like third in a row. Tested it 30 minutes before, 1 hour before, a day before, called friends to test it as well, and still having problems, which is really, really crazy. Yeah, it's working now. So, sorry about that again. It's always a few technical problems here and there, but thanks for joining, and thanks for accepting my my invitation, Greg. It's been a while. I haven't seen you for 3 years, right? It's been 3 years, right?
Yeah, it's been about
Yeah.
3 years. Oh, we spent some time in Japan together when they launched the D850.
And we were like, we were like shoved off at the side and like, shh, everyone keep quiet.
Yeah,
Then-
exactly. Yeah, that was a
then-
very, very funny time to launch stuff and to be involved. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Then once Z came out, okay, we're okay then. Okay, we're using Z. So suddenly, every one of us was like showing up and posting now. So like before the D850 was like, shh, quiet. Don't post. We were like holding back on posting photos and all that. So it was like a fun times. Anyway, we got
Yeah.
over it. We're back. So,
We're back.
Yeah. Okay. So to cut this short, I'll let Greg introduce himself. So for those who don't know him or what he's been doing, I'll replay the photos later on again after we finish, so you get to see what he's been doing. So Greg, take it away, please.
Yeah, so my name's Craig Kolesky. I'm based out of Cape Town in South Africa, and I'm an outdoor adventure photographer, and I specialize in Red Bull, Oakley, and adventure sports, extreme sports, if you want to use that word. And I live outdoors, and for the last 32 days, we've been locked in our houses like everyone else in this lockdown. And it's been a very testing and difficult time for a lot of creative people and photographers, especially guys who are used to going outdoors all the time. And we've just been keeping very busy at home and staying creative. But I love the outdoors, and we're already planning our next couple of photo shoots. As soon as we're allowed to leave, we already got our trips planned.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've seen the toy photos. It's Kobe must be like, Dad, let's shoot again. How did that started?
So the day before lockdown, we were explaining to Kobe about the lockdown, and I mentioned to him that I would not be able to take any photos. And he just said straight up, well, you can take photographs of my toys. And that's how it started. On the first day of lockdown, we did a very easy shot of some dinosaurs. I posted it onto Instagram, and I couldn't believe how the response was. So I said to Kobe, cool, we're going to shoot a picture every single day of lockdown, which was meant to be 21 days. So we're now on 32, and we're still going on.
I've seen even the behind the scenes. I keep on sharing it with our group as well. And like, okay, advantage is you have a big space and you've got sand. I've got an apartment which I can't do all those. I'm like, we moved all our stuff from the office and here in my house. So I've got no space to move, nothing to shoot, nothing. So this is what keeping me sane for the moment. Talking to people and interviewing people and catching up with friends. Oh, it's just been crazy. The first interview was Tito. Tito was like, I really had a bad internet connection. So imagine that. At least your internet there is good.
Yeah, we got some good internet. But as you said, I am fortunate that I have space to work with. But also, all our shops are closed. Everything is closed. So I've had to make, especially the toy photos, I've had to make use of everything around the house to get all the special effects. So I've spent quite a bit of time on Google to like find out how to do all these special effects, and I've learned quite a lot of little tricks and things to get all the effects in, and it's been a very, very good learning curve for me. I've learned a lot out of this.
I remember shooting a sandwich. I don't have any wires, metal wires and all that, so I have to use the soldering iron because that's the only available one I have. I'm like, imagine that. I was like, my toys are quite big than yours, so I can't like. These are huge. I can't support it with your start Lego with all that. So it's lighter. Mine are so heavy. So I'm like, I can't. I ordered it online. It says 30 days for delivery for a tie wire. So I tried even opening up a network cable. It can't hold it. It's too heavy. So I'm like, oh, good for him. He has all those stuff there. Can't do some shoots. So
Yeah.
I
I mean, we do a lot of like home repairs ourselves, so I'm lucky to have all those wires and all that type of stuff lying around. But I have actually taken a few things apart around the house to use on the shoot, so I have to fix all of that after lockdown.
Same thing with this live thing. I had to remove every equipment in the bag. And like, okay, I need this XLR cable. I need this cable. And now the house is a mess. After this lockdown, I'm gonna like freak out. Where did I put this? Where did I put this? Where did I put this? It's just a mess right now.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, how did it started? How did you become a photographer?
I became a photographer taking photographs of my friends skateboarding and surfing when I was still in school, so early 90s. And the way the bug bit for me was when I got a check in the post for, if I converted to dollars, it must have been $2 back in the day. I got a check in the post and I couldn't believe that someone had actually paid me for a photograph. And I was like, that was it. I was going to work my way to become a photographer. The interesting thing is I never forced it. It was all a natural progression from when I was in school, studying, working in the surf industry, taking photos on weekends, and then actually leaving the surf industry and working on professional productions with international photographers as a photographic assistant and a production manager. So I learned all the ins and outs of photo shoots, on how to produce a shoot, how to everything from the start to finish, and how to direct and all that. And a few years later, I woke up and I actually realized, okay, I'm a professional photographer. It's not a job, it's a career. You know what I mean? So you got to see it. You got to see the long end of it. I'll tell everyone, photography is not a job, it's a career. So if you're going to do it, you got to do it properly.
True. From that transition, from starting, when did it like peak? Like, how many years did it take you to develop that, to have your skills right now, or what you have right now?
Geez, I think I'm still learning so much on photography, and I don't think you can actually reach a peak, because as we are learning, technology is changing and we need to keep up with that technology. And if you get left behind, it's over. So I don't know. That's a very, very, I haven't had that question before. And the only way I can think about it is like, I don't think I've peaked yet. And what's keeping us on our toes are the younger photographers and keeping up with technology. I think it's like that, yeah.
How's your SnapBridge doing so far?
It's yeah, it's working.
Same, it's working. Yeah.
On the Z6, it's actually very, very good.
True.
Once in a while, I'll just delete the app, reload it, and then reset the camera just to keep everything fresh. Because once you have, it's like with any camera app, if you add 10 cameras and you're using Bluetooth and you're adding all these headsets, it's like all the stuff is just building up and everything just gets confused. So it's important, like once every few months, just to reset everything, delete the apps and reinstall them.
True. That's
Yeah.
the same solution, because I do connect it with my I do connect it to my
I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello.
Got you.
Weird. Hello? Can you hear me, guys? Hello. Yeah, there. Okay. Weird. It's bubbles. There. Okay. So, where was I? I got lost again. All right.
Talking about your D850 and loading different
Yeah,
cameras
connecting
onto
connecting it to
apps.
the iPad and all. It's just crazy when you use 3 to 4 cameras at the same time using one iPad. It just goes crazy. It's just one at a time, one at a time. So when we do a shoot, it's usually every Android, iPad. So every camera needs to sync. If I do it all together, it's so hard to connect. Yeah, so
It's the same thing with your memory cards. Every month I format all my memory cards back to factory settings, and the reason for that is if you don't format your cards properly, you've got all that data from years and years and years building up, and it actually just makes it harder for the data to sit on the card better. So you need clean cards to always shoot. So it's the same thing with any devices, just to keep them clean, I guess.
okay, wait. They're telling me I'm having low sound. Sound check. Sound check. There. How's that? Sound check. Sound check. No, I could see my microphone. There. Hello, hello. Is that better now? Hello, hello, hello. Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Okay. What's the most difficult challenge? Like, give me top 5. What's the most difficult shoot, and how do you solve that challenge?
I think with what I do, challenges are always weather. I mean, we shoot in some really, really bad weather, and sometimes bad weather makes a good photo. And as outdoors photographers, we need to be prepared to shoot in bad weather, not just for our gear, but ourselves as well. So, yeah, challenging photo shoots are anything to do with bad weather, and also challenging photo shoots are when you're traveling to new countries and you don't know what their rules are, especially with arriving at countries with camera gear, and it can be challenging if you just look out of place and you get pulled from a line. They see all your gear, and you're not there on holiday. You're there to work. So there's ways around everything, but traveling has become quite a challenge for all photographers with gear.
Have you got your gears confiscated ever?
I had my gear confiscated. Yeah, so we did a shoot in Morocco in 2010 for a kiteboarding brand, and I was arrested on arrival. They confiscated my gear. I went into Morocco to do my photo shoots. I managed to get some gear from someone there. It was a 2-week trip, no camera gear. Arrived back at customs. They didn't give my gear back to me. They actually checked it through into the baggage of the airplane. When I arrived back in Cape Town, all my gear was not usable. It was all broken. So ever since that, I've had a better system in place for gear. But yeah, I've lost a lot of gear on that trip.
Same thing. We did a wedding in Egypt. They confiscated our big gears, except the DSLR. They're okay with the DSLR, but the video cameras before, the big ones, it's left in custom. So we had to get it after we left. So it's just crazy. That's one challenge we have as well. Every time we go out.
Yeah, and I think that's a very cool thing with the whole mirrorless coming in so good now, is the cameras are smaller and they can do just as much as the bigger cameras. So you can just use this little camera to do full productions, which is really cool.
True. I even have the Z50. We use that especially when we shoot like paparazzi style, when no permits, when bride and groom doing pre-wedding shoots. We use the Z50, so it's easier and lighter, especially without permits. So, but again,
I've used the Z50 for about 20 minutes, but I actually haven't had one for a extended amount of time to try it out. So after lockdown, I'm definitely going to give it a go.
Yeah, I got two. So it's nice to have a backup every time. So because you're like, oops, I need a smaller one. I need a smaller one. So you could go in, you could get out, finish, do a shoot with security not blocking you off at all. So that's the. Hey guys, please feel free to ask questions. Okay, so we're here to answer every question. Yeah, hi Japs. Yeah, agree. Photography is a continuous learning process. The funny thing is when there's a lot of new photographers coming out, and my point of view is like they feel that they're like top of the world already. They feel that like they're really really good, which is kind of, it boils down to attitude. So even the top ones like Greg's are like continuous learning continuous learning. It's non-stop learning. Okay.
Yeah, it's also being about, it's also being a professional photographer. It's also about being loyal to clients and doing everything in the correct system in place. A lot of guys coming in now don't come from a background like what we do with film and production. They just buy a digital camera and 6 months later, professional photographer. And it's a very touchy point that a lot of people talk about. But at the end of the day, you can see who's been around longer and who hasn't. And the newer guys must just take their time and just, you get better with time, I guess. And it's, if you rush into things, you're going to miss certain things on a photo shoot that could destroy your name if you don't do things correctly.
Yeah, so true. There's a lot of new guys, like really with really bad, crazy attitude as well.
Yeah, bad attitudes don't work in the industry at all.
Yep, true. Someone asked you, like, have you visited the Philippines?
No, I haven't been to the Philippines, and it's on my list. I've been to a lot of places, and so when I started out photography, I was shooting skating and surfing, and I always said to myself, I'm only going to go to countries where there's surf, and that's all changed now. So yeah, Philippines is on my list for sure, and I do know a few people there.
Let me know when you go there. For sports event, what are the essential shots needed to capture aside from action shots?
For a sporting event. So, I mean, most of the sporting events we shoot are the Red Bull events, and we've got quite a specific shot list of. So the way we start is always you start wide and then you go in tight. So the wide shot would be an overview shot to get the whole area of the event and the location, so the viewer can see exactly where everything is taking place, and then from that, you just work your way in. And one thing I tell a lot of people about shooting an event is never shoot from the same angle. If you got a shot, move on and change your angle. Because every time you move, you're going to get a new image that's not going to be the same as the previous one. So it's pointless going to an event and sitting, let's say, for example, if you go to a rugby game or cricket or football and you sit at the one spot for the whole game, you're going to get the exact same shots. If you get a shot, move on to the next spot and just change things up. But a shot, like a general shot list from Red Bull, is overview, action, lifestyle, portraits, and then obviously a drinking shot. So those are the criteria we have to cover always.
Okay. Thanks for that, Isabel. Isabel is not trying. She's one of the sports photographers. Hi, Nestor. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah. What are your advice to photographers who wanted to be in this genre?
You want to in the sports photography genre. So if you want to be in the sports photography genre, I would say don't limit yourself to one type of sport. So when I started, I wanted to be a surf photographer, but there wasn't a big market in South Africa. So I started shooting skating, motocross, BMX, all the adventure type sports. Try and shoot about 10 different genres if you can. And everyone sees my sports photography, but you don't actually see that I've got a studio at home and I shoot bottles of wine and product shots. And I've taught myself over the years how to shoot these beautiful product shots. And that also just keeps paying the bills. So when I'm not working outdoors, I'm at home shooting product shots or shooting creative online content for clients. So yeah, just experiment, find what you enjoy shooting, and broaden your horizons, I guess.
So in extreme sport or climbing those mountains, what cameras do you bring?
So I used to take every single camera I had with me in my bag. I'll take a, like, let's start in the beginning. I'll take a D4, two D750s, a 70-200, 24-70, 50 mil and fisheye. But my last 4 outdoor shoots I've done where I've been in the mountains, hiking, or on a mountain bike. I've taken a Z6, 70-200, and the native 24-70. Just that. That's it. Maybe a fisheye if I want to, but 2 lenses in the one body with the FTZ adapter, and that's what I've been using in the mountains now. So I think if you take too much gear, you actually confuse yourself on what to use.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's sometimes we don't have time to think. So the ideal setup would be two Z6s, one Z6 with a 70-200 and the second Z6 with a 24-70. So you don't have to change lenses. So when you open that bag, you can get your gear quickly. Normally when I'm hiking, I've got the Z6 with a 24-70 in my hand all the time. So I'd rather have a camera in my hand than no camera in my hand. And if you're too far from the subject with a 24-70, you can get close to them if you run fast, but you can also just quickly put the bag down and get a camera out of the longer lens. But also it boils down to how you pack your bag. And I put my cameras in the bag that I can pull it out with a grip and my fingers already on ready to go. So it's just a lot of years of trying and planning to get a system in place on how I shoot.
So your 24-70 is the f4 or the 2.8?
Yeah.
The f4. No?
F4.
Yeah. Okay. You have a 14-30, the wide.
I got the 14-30 as well.
I love that lens. The moment I got that one,
it's very good.
It's like, and ND filters are cheaper compared to the 14-24. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean those lenses are very good. I think the 2.8s are bigger lenses, and I don't want that size. I'd rather have the smaller lenses. And we were shooting a project in Namibia last year, and I shot an image with the Z6 and the 24-70, and the image will only be released end of the year. But it's I was pretty blown away with the results of the photo. And the Z6, if you know how to use it properly, it can do absolutely everything your other cameras can do.
Okay, so I've went into a lot of Facebook groups and all that, and everyone's complaining about the focusing. How did you dealt with that when you started switching from DSLR to mirrorless? Because for me, I had to let go that a DSLR focusing is literally the same as the mirrorless. I totally drop it and think of a mirrorless is totally different system. I'm not gonna apply the focusing system of the DSLR. How about you? Since you do a lot of movement and all that, how do you address the focusing?
Yeah, so you have to, as you said, you have to address it as a different. It's still a Nikon, but it's a different camera to your DSLRs, and it works slightly different. But once you understand how it works, you can shoot any type of action with this camera. So a funny story is we were meant to be riding this big mountain bike race from the 17th of March. So for me to send my cameras in for 10 days to go to be serviced and cleaned and just to have an overall inspection is very difficult for me. So every year I send my cameras away during this mountain bike race. The night before the race, the event was canceled because of COVID-19, and all my equipment was in Johannesburg except my Z6, the native 24-70 and my 70-200. Obviously I'd canceled all my work, but I quickly went online onto my emails, and I emailed 3 clients who I knew were still in Cape Town, and I let them know that our event's been canceled and I'm available to shoot that next week. And I managed to get a client to shoot for 5 days, and the only camera I had was the Z6 with those lenses, and it was kite surfing, which is very, very fast, high action. I had to shoot
highlights
stuff in the water,
well.
portraits, everything. I had to shoot into the sun, and I just used the Z6. And after that week of shooting, and I went back and looked at the photos, I couldn't believe the results. It's I just figured out the sweet spots of everything, and it just flowed very nice. So the important thing is with any camera is just to find the sweet spots, and it'll work for you.
Okay, so I have a question from Nestor. What is the most or difficult photography, or until now the most you hated shooting?
Sure. So I think any event photography, especially when you're shooting for a client, is very, very difficult. There's a lot of stress because they've got their shot list, and their shot list is determined by the weather, the outcome of the event, if the athletes perform. So we go into any event with a shot list, and there's a lot of pressure on us to deliver that shot list, because without that shot list done, our clients can't deliver those images out to media. So yeah, any event photography where it's up to weather, it's very, very, very difficult to shoot, and puts a lot of pressure on us. But generally, another event where we're outdoors in the mountains and it's bad weather, puts a lot of pressure on us.
Okay, so I have another question. 3 photos over. Because for me, panning shots. Nestor was telling me he's having difficulty with the panning shot. I guess you need to get used to the panning shots.
So the panning shot is also, once again, you got to find the sweet spot of the camera settings. And also, a very important trick with panning shots is, if you are following the subject, you can't drop your hand down, because that movement's going to go. Put your elbow into your stomach so you don't drop down anymore. Find a spot on your body where you can rest nicely, and try and pan as smooth as possible, and keep practicing. The way I practiced that years ago, and I was still shooting on film, was I stood on the side of a road and I just took photos of about 10 rolls of film of cars, driving past, and I made notes of the settings. The one roll would be 50th of a second. The second roll would be 100th of a second. You know what I mean? And that's how we did it back then. And yeah, I mean, once you get used to it, it's a easy thing to do, and you can nail the shots quite quickly if you know exactly what's going on. But the faster the subject's moving, the easier it is.
Okay, all right. So how do you protect your gears from seawater?
So when I'm in the ocean, I use a water housing. It's Aquatech. If you search Aquatech, they make all the water housings for surfing and water sports. Yeah, it's not that hard to put the camera in, but there are a couple of steps you need to check to make sure that the seal is perfectly greased, that the water doesn't leak inside. And if you're shooting in the ocean in big surf or waves, you always have to check the camera to make sure that there are no leaks or bubbles, because it's quite pressurized once you go quite deep. In general, outside, sure, if you're shooting in extreme weather, this is where the two bodies come in handy. To try not to change lenses in bad weather. So when we're shooting the kite surfing, it's in 40 or 50 knots of wind. The sand is blowing as high as your chest. And I keep a backpack on, and I use the Fstop bags. You can actually swing them around, and you can open them up on your stomach. So it's like an office sitting right over here, and you can just change your cameras quickly. But don't change lenses in bad weather, only if you're protected. And I've got my own cleaning kit at home. So after a very, very dirty or stormy shoot, I normally try and clean all the gear myself as well as I can. I've actually learned how to clean my own sensors, so I can clean my own sensors as well, which is quite important if you're outdoors, because you can't just drop your camera off at a camera shop. So it's important to be able to look after your own car. It's like being a race car driver, not knowing how to fix your own car. Most race car drivers know how to work in their cars. So it's the same as photography. You should know a little bit on how to get your camera working.
So true. Okay. For fast-moving subjects, and yes, sports athletes, indoor arena, and having a D800 and D700, for instance, what would be the ideal settings to start with? AFC, using the 51 points. I think he's referring to the focusing system.
Focusing system, if it's moving, I always use AFC. Try not to use a single point focus. Try and use a group focus. It makes it slightly bigger. And if you're shooting like an athlete on a bicycle, don't focus on the bicycle. Focus on the athlete on top. You know what I mean? Sometimes you focus on the bicycle and you send the image to a client, the bicycle's in focus and the subject won't. So it's very tricky. It's a little bit of an art, but always try and focus on the upper body or the body of the person. But AFC, tracking focus for moving subjects. And there is no certain settings. The settings are all down to the shot you want to get. If it's a speed blur, motion blur, it's all about just experimenting. Also, it depends on the lighting inside an arena. if it's artificial light, or there's so many different elements to take in mind when you want to get a shot
True.
of action sports. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people asking as well, like when they see a sport shot, they will ask, "What's the setting? What's the setting?" You can't. It's totally different. Different scenario, different sport, different lighting, different day, different sun. Everything's totally different. So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to look at my metadata of my photos over an hour shooting kiteboarding, for instance, I think every 20 or 30 frames, my settings will be different, because as I'm shooting, I'm just changing according to what I want. If I want everything to be heavily out of focus in the background, I will shoot faster and shoot at a lower aperture, and changing it just to get different type of feelings through the whole shot or the whole shoot, for instance.
Cesar says hi. Cesar Parro.
Sorry, who's that?
Cesar.
Cesar.
Yeah.
How are you?
Cesar.
Hey, Cesar.
When was the last time you came to Dubai, Greg?
I was in Dubai December 2018. We did a Red Bull photography workshop there for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah,
so I was there for about 10 days. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, thanks for the lecture. Yeah. All right. Okay, so if guys, please do feel free to ask question. Okay. Now it's my turn. If you have,
Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question, Calvin?
Go.
What camera are you using? What camera are you using for your live feed? Because the quality is pretty good.
It's a Nikon Z6 with an FTZ adapter and 51.4 on autofocus.
And how is it connected to your laptop and everything? Because I like the depth of field and everything. It's very cool.
Even with the messy house and everything, so I don't need to clean up, and also I'm okay with it. I'm connecting it to an HDMI capture with a USB 3. So it will, because if I'm going to, what do you call this, to Zoom, I use this. But if not, I just plug it in via USB 3 directly. No more HDMI output. The beauty of this is, again, it's now autofocus. So even on 1.4, I fully open it at 1.4. So even if I move, it's still
Yeah.
AFF.
No, it looks good.
So
it makes you look good.
That's the advantage, at least. Okay, there's another question: manual or aperture priority?
Calvin, what's my answer going to be?
Manual, of course.
Yeah, manual. Aperture priority, you're not in control. You only control if you shoot manual, and if you're scared to shoot manual, don't be. Just manual. I mean, I can walk outside and just choose my settings and shoot from years and years of practice. When I was shooting film, I used to write the settings on the back of my hand, or like time of day. I just remember it, and kind of like if you're starting to shoot manual, just write things down, and as soon as you write something down, it just embeds better into your mind, and you can remember things better. But manual all the way.
How long do you?
If you had to go.
Sorry, go.
Just on the manual settings, if you had to shoot aperture priority, for instance, and go into a studio with flash and lights and stuff, you don't have any control. The camera's going to focus on the subject, the flashes are going to go, and everything's going to be a bit weird. So once you get into like more controlled environments with lights and all that, that's very important to be able to shoot manual.
Isabel is asking, how long do you process your photos before sending it to client? And usually, how many photos do you submit for a particular sporting event?
Okay, so for Red Bull events, after the event, we've got 30 minutes to supply 15 to 20 photos in high res to our communications manager. And then after that, we've got an hour and a half to supply the next 20 photos onto, let's say, Red Bull content pool for all media to download. So within an hour, 30 photographs. A very cool trick to do while you're shooting is to either tag your photos, rate them, or lock them. I lock my photos while I'm shooting. The reason why I lock a photo, if you bump your camera or someone holds your camera, and this can happen, they delete or format your card, all your protected photos will still be on the camera. So between shots, as you're looking, I lock my photos. and it also makes your selections quicker. When you get back to edit, you can dump your photos and just extract all the locked photos, and you know your selection's already done.
Okay, so Cesar is asking, how's business of photography now in that you're part of the world?
How's business in photography?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough afterwards. But I think if you've built up a relationship with clients over the last couple of years, and they're going to need content after lockdown. Everyone's already lacking on content. And the one thing I have done is I've stayed in contact with a lot of my clients every few days, just dropping an email or having a Zoom call or WhatsApp call and just chatting to clients. I've also been pretty busy during lockdown. I've had some clients send me product shots. I've been shooting product shots for them during lockdown. And our lockdown eases up on Friday. And some of my clients who are allowed to start working have already approached me to have stuff sent to me to shoot. So it depends how you've treated yourself, marketed yourself with clients to stay busy. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to feel this one after this, for sure.
Yeah. For us, we're shooting all COVID safety measures, doing photos and videos. What's the mall doing to help not spread the COVID? Yeah, that's what we've been shooting. It's a bit scary sometimes, but yeah, there's nothing you could do. Still have to go out. But at least here it's lax now. Malls are open for 5 hours a day. So we're slowly moving. Hopefully it won't get worse. So that's the problem.
Yeah, so we've got nothing open here. We just got food stores, and we can't even buy clothes for our kids. Everything is closed. So our big malls here with, well, not as big as the malls in Dubai, but if the biggest mall here has 2,000 stores in it, there are only 3 stores in it that are open. Those are the 3 stores that sell food. So, yeah.
Okay. So if you have to choose one camera and one lens to bring, what will it be? Just one.
So
one.
Yeah, one camera, one lens. If I was stuck on an island somewhere,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I had this. Someone asked me this question last week, so I would go right now with my D5 and a 70-200.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If I have to hike somewhere, if you had to stay on a mountain and I had to hike somewhere, then I'd say the Z6 and a 70-200. But yeah.
Okay. Guys, please feel free to ask. We're almost done. Yeah. Okay. What else? I've asked technically all the questions already. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. It was nice catching up with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Calvin. It's good to chat again.
Yeah. I'll just wait for a few more minutes if they have additional questions, because there's like 10 seconds delay.
Yeah, we'll maybe play the slideshow again,
yeah, we'll play
and
the slideshow
people
again.
might
Perfect.
see photos, and then we can get some photographs. If the guys see any photos in there they want questions about, then yeah, let's go.
Perfect. All right, I'll just play the slideshow. Sorry about the music mix. All right, guys. Yeah, that was him on the Lego. That was him. That was him. All right. Any more questions? So you've seen his work. Yeah, cause for me, um, when I was in the Philippines and in starting photography, I looked up to international photographers as well because again the standard and the level is totally different. No offense on the local photographers, but because when I went to Dubai, my workflow is totally like it's not even at par. My skill set, my level was not. I thought I was okay already, but when I reach this part of the world, it was like, huh? You're like workflow. Every time I hire people, those are like top gun shooters already. Comes here in Dubai and start shooting with us. They're like totally culture shock because everything is like highest level, like 100%, 100%, 100% every time. So the standard is totally different. That's why I really look up to international photographers, high level photographers. That's why this session is like to encourage people to like study, 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 and look up, study, study. Know photographers from your genre, learn from them, look how they work, what's their workflow, and how things done, how they do things, because it's totally different, totally different.
Yeah, I think also a big thing with this is you need to ask a lot of questions. And I used to ask, when I worked on production, I used to ask the photographer so many questions until they actually told me just to shut up. And that's one way of learning. And I think online research, hanging out with other photographers and asking them how they do things, they're either going to give you an answer or they're not. And if they don't give you the answer, then you just move on to the next photographer and say, hey, how do you speed up your workflow? How do you pack your camera bags? If you don't ask, you're never going to get an answer. So the worst thing they can do is say no. So I think a very, very important way to learn is reach out, ask questions, and yeah, it's for yourself. And if you don't ask those questions, you're going to be left behind pretty much.
But before you ask the question, figure it out first. If you
Yeah,
can't figure
exactly.
it out, yes,
Yeah.
because sometimes like one example of a question, like how do you turn on the camera? See, those questions are like kind of okay. So figure out first, understand the basic. Then once you get, that's basically it.
Yeah. There's always every day as a photographer you'll learn something new. I mean, just with me shooting these toy photos for the last month, I've learned so much stuff which I never knew before. So there's always time. There's always time for improvement and to learn.
So true, so true. Yep. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Jude. Thanks, Mike. Shah is here as well. All right. We're wrap it up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was nice catching up. Looking forward for
Thank you, Calvin.
more toy shots.
Yeah, I'm actually off now to go and shoot today's photograph, and yeah, check out my Instagram just to see how we do it, and yeah, it should be a
Yeah,
fun
you've
one.
been trending lately. Like everyone's like following you and all that. By the way, guys, please do follow Greg. I've posted his Instagram links. I do share your work in our group as well. So, all right.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thanks,
much,
Greg.
Calvin. Good
Thank you.
to see
Thank
you.
you. All right.
Stay safe.
Thank you. All
Cheers.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.